Guys, I was hacked. I lost all the cryptocurrency out of my wallet almost instantly, all because I made this one stupid mistake. And I'm not alone. In fact, there are hackers just waiting for you to make this same mistake too, because it's so common. But I want to show you how to avoid it. You don't have to make this mistake either. So I've invited my friend Ty on the channel today, who's also a blockchain developer, to talk about he was hacked and lost all of his cryptocurrency so that you can learn from this and not have to make this same mistake too. So before we get into that, if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that sounds good to you, then smash the like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step by step from start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started now. Welcome, Ty. We're going to talk more about Ty and his background because I think you all are going to really enjoy this. So stick around for the rest of the video. But for now, I want to focus on, what happened to you, Ty?
I was a participant in the ETH Global Hackathon, Hack Money, and I was so busy with so many different projects and so many different things. And when it came time to submit the project, when I put it on GitHub, I didn't know that I had my mnemonic phrase still inside the code. And the reason why I had my mnemonic was because I had needed to test something with MetaMask and see if it actually worked and if it actually pulled the address. And I forgot to ignore the file that the mnemonic was in, and it was on GitHub. And then soon after, I say it was about 100 seconds or so, all my money was gone. And right soon as I put it on there, I was just getting like hundreds of notifications. I was like, what's going on? And it wasn't until I looked at my address, I had around $1,000 or so, and then all of a sudden, it was just gone. I was like, where happened to all my money?
Yeah, it's a really sickening feeling, man. I mean, I know how this goes. I've definitely lost cryptocurrency myself from making mistakes as a developer, and that's one of the biggest reasons that I want to bring this up. So basically, guys, if you're still trying to figure out what we're talking about here, you have private keys, you have mnemonic seed phrases, which are basically like passwords to your cryptocurrency. And, you should never keep those inside of a project that doesn't exist on your own computer. Okay. So like in Ty's case, he used GitHub. I've done this too. So like I said, I'm not trying to make Ty feel bad. This is really to help you all. He kept his private key, or his mnemonic in this case, inside his project, pushed up to GitHub, and a bot just instantly stole all his money. So there are people sniffing these opportunities out and watching for them. So be careful.
Right. And the crazy thing about it was just so fast. Usually people will say, oh, don't keep any digital copies of it. And people said it over and over again, it almost became white noise. But it's not until when it actually happens when it's like, oh, snap. And I'll even send, hopefully, Greg, you put the address, Etherscan in the video description that actually shows all the small transactions. Because it wasn't just one transaction that moved all the coins. It was the bot, it was moving very small increments. That's why I kept getting all these different notifications of what's going on.
Right. Like I said, sorry this happened to you, Ty. It's happened to me too. But, thanks for coming on today to help educate everyone about this, because frankly, we don't want you all to have to go through this kind of thing too. And, like Ty said, he learned the hard way. I've learned the hard way, but you all don't have to learn the hard way. And that's why we created this video for you. So, while we're talking about this, one of the big reasons I wanted to have Ty on the channel too was to tell more about his story, kind of becoming a blockchain developer. Tell everybody about what you do now, because Ty is part of the Blockchain Bootcamp. He's part of the Blockchain Mastery Program. And, he's got a cool story. Everybody's kind of got different goals in blockchain. Some people want to become, full-time employees, work for companies. Some people want to build their own app. Some people want to become freelancers. And Ty is getting out there, starting his own businesses, and also doing like client work and things like that. So I figured it'd be great to talk about that, because I know that there's plenty of people watching this video who have both of those types of goals. And also, Ty is a self-taught programmer, doesn't have a computer science degree or anything like that. No fancy credentials. And that's what he's doing full time. So, tell us about what you're doing now, Ty, and then maybe we'll talk about your background.
I do consultations, and I also do development work for businesses. And I run my own software business to create applications, websites, and technical solutions. So every project I work on, I always propose the idea like, hey, you can use crypto for this. And a lot of times business owners are more open to utilizing cryptocurrency because they know that crypto is tied to wealth, and that essentially is a good gateway into introducing them to the space and ultimately bringing on more adoption.
Ty, tell us a little more about your background, because I mentioned it earlier. You're a self-taught programmer. You don't have a computer science degree or anything like that. You're working in blockchain, building your own projects. How did you get started? How did you get to this point?
I originally started coding when I was 13 years old. I was programming Lego robots in middle school. And then throughout high school, I was doing I took all the computer science courses in high school, and then I started wanting to learn more because the maximum that they had was AP Computer Science, and it was just mainly Java. And
right.
Not many people like Java. Even in the class, people were like, when are we going to learn Python? When are we going to learn Python? Or even JavaScript, but the teacher insisted on Java. So I had to learn beyond what was being taught to me in school. So I had to learn about these different technologies. I think at the time, Node was big, so I wasn't being taught Node. And I had to, even in the college books, went to the library, took on these college courses on computer science. They were talking about C and all these different programming languages. And in my head, I'm like, wow, there's so many different languages to learn.
Right.
And then soon after, I started getting interested in PHP because I was interested in web development, and actually learning on the infrastructure of how a website functions. And then ultimately, I left from PHP to get into Python. Now, right after high school, I did go to college, but I went to college for film because I was interested in film and wanted to learn more about it. And also get some of my acting credits up because...
So, we had a little bit of a connection issue there for a second. But Ty was just saying, so Ty, you went to college for film, not for computer science, and you had some acting aspirations. But tell us what happened while you were there. You were saying that you kind of got into freelancing at that point?
Right. So while I was in college, I was like, well, I got to make money, like going to school and going to college, getting a degree and everything. That's fine and all, but how am I going to make money? How am I going to eat? How am I going to live? And I was already good in computer science, so I started looking into AI, and I was building little chatbots and automation bots for businesses. And one of the best books that I had read was How to Automate Boring Things in Python. And from there, that started my interest into learning how to program. And then I came from school every single day and just be on a call, calling clients, businesses. I call anybody. I was like, hey, do you need a chat bot? Do you need a bot for your business? I made bots for engagement groups. I made bots for Twitter accounts, the whole 9 yards. And then it wasn't until I saw one of Gregory's videos. I remember it was the one that he first made that says how to become blockchain master. And it has over 100,000 views. It's one of his best videos. It was 2 hours long. And I was watching it, and because I already was interested in Bitcoin and Ethereum from a presentation that I saw in high school. So I was like, well, now I'm going to learn how to actually build it. And then from there, my mind just exploded. I was talking to so many people about how to implement blockchain. It's the future. And back in 2018, people were getting over this crypto recession that had happened when it went up from 20,000 down to, when Bitcoin went up to 20,000 down to $3,000. And so people weren't even interested. So it became harder to get a lot of people interested, but over time, residually, people started to learn more and more about it. And that was one of my inspirations for creating Streamline, was to be able to have a platform where people can buy things with cryptocurrency.
Yeah, very cool. So there's a couple of things that I really want to unpack there. The first one is, how to get started as a freelancer. People ask me this a lot. I've got lots of different advice on how you can do that. But really the minimum advice is just start. And that's really what you did in this case. In your case, you kind of did cold calling. You talked to a lot of people and just directly pitched your services. And I'm sure you got turned down quite a bit. But there was a small number of maybe people, percentage wise, who said, okay, yeah, we'll give this guy a shot. And maybe you gave them a good deal on their first client or something like that. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Right. Yeah. And absolutely. If you don't start, how are you ever going to expect to grow? And I feel like a lot of people want to learn all they can. And learning is great. Don't get me wrong. You have to know what you're doing because you don't want to screw anything up. But at the same time, you want to put yourself out there. One of my mentors said a couple years ago, he said that knowledge on ice is pointless, but ignorance on fire is dangerous. Meaning you can go out there and say, hey, I can code this, I can code that. But if you don't know what you're doing, then a lot of your stuff is going to fail. Opposed to if you keep learning and just being, and like Gregory says, tutorial hell, you're never going to make any money and you're just going to be learning all the time. So you kind of got to have a balance of both. And that's kind of what I did. I was grateful enough to have that experience, but even still, there were still new things coming out, like blockchain development, for example. Gregory's pretty much was the only person on the platform or even out there that taught this stuff. And another thing is you want to also be able to show them. Showing is everything, because if you're going to be working with a business, the one thing they care about is money. It's cool that you can code blockchain. It's cool you can code AI. But at the end of the day, how is it going to bring them money? And how is it going to bring them value?
Right. Yeah. Value is key when you're dealing with business owners. And if you're a freelancer or a consultant, the likelihood that you're interfacing with someone who's making business decisions is way higher than if you're just an employee. If you're an employee, maybe you're just talking to other developers or a project manager or product manager. If you're a freelancer, a lot of times you're talking either directly with a small business owner or like someone who's responsible for financial decisions, and at least the person hiring you. And not always, but typically. And in those cases, value is key. And the value that you bring to the table is the difference between you charging $1 per hour and $1,000 per hour. Because if you can show someone that, you can make them, $1 million, and they're going to gladly write you the check of whatever it costs, as long as they're getting more money out of you than what they put in. So I think that's really key. And that's something that Ty hit on for sure. And because people ask me all the time, how do I raise my freelancing rate, all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, it comes down to the actual value that you're bringing to the table. You have to be worth that amount. And
then another thing too, and this is something that I had to learn myself. I was always thinking like, oh man, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. And then I will kind of let that influence my decision making and taking just any type of project. And that's fine when you're like learning and trying to develop yourself, but when you want to build yourself as a reputable business, who you're working with is also something to take into account too.
Right.
Because you want to learn about this business, you want to learn who they know. Like for example, there was one business I was working with, and I didn't know it at the time, but this business had access to over 1 million clients worldwide.
I think when people are first getting started, they put way too much emphasis on short-term results. They're trying to say like, okay, I'm not going to get started unless I can see the clear path to, let's just say, making $100 an hour. Let's just put like a nice like value on it, right? And then like they say, oh, if I can't do that like in a month, then like why should I even start? Well, or if I can't make that on my first project, maybe then why should I even try? Well, it's like, okay, so. Let's just say that I would rather see someone depending on their experience level and on their background, right? But I'm talking, this is general advice for probably most people who are watching this video. If you're just getting started, like the experience is worth something to you, other than just the money, like especially if you've never worked in blockchain before. And even if you're an experienced developer, like that's also true, because once you step out of your lane, like you're still going to be kind of junior in blockchain. So the experience is valuable to you. So that's a reason that you can reduce your rate to get experience. And the other benefit of that is if you get multiple experiences like this, it's sort of like buying lottery tickets and you don't know which one could potentially lead to some massive long-term payoff. And once you have enough experience, you can start raising your rates because you are more valuable. And of those different projects that you tried, one of those could just be a massive home run where you're able to, get better rates on that, or it leads to all this other stuff. And it sounds like that is kind of what happened with one of the clients that you mentioned.
Absolutely. And not only that, consistency.
Right.
Consistency. If I can give any advice, it would be stay consistent and stay focused. There was times I got distracted. I was like, okay, I don't want to do development. I'm going to go learn about Forex. I'm going to make some money in Forex. There was times I'm like, okay, I don't want to do Forex. I'm going to get into drop shipping. But the thing is, I'm taking focus away from what I'm skilled at. And if I just keep up the consistency, you get better and better and better. And
get there a lot faster.
Exactly. And so that's kind of one of the things that I had to learn, was to stay focused on this one thing, because you could be okay at many different things, but if you want to be great at one thing, you have to stay focused and consistent with it.
Right. Yeah, it's the old saying, it's the man who chases two rabbits catches none. It's kind of the idea. Yeah. Okay, so the other thing I want to kind of bring up from Ty's story here was, he talked about how he, had some programming experience, teaching himself, did some computer science coursework in high school. So I had some formal education, but not like a college degree necessarily. And basically, got a little bit of web development experience and freelancing. And then when he wanted to get into blockchain, got the educational resources, benefited a lot from Dapp University, but took that and actually built his own project. And this is what I want to drill in on. I always say portfolio is key because it accomplishes multiple purposes. It solidifies your learning and also gives you something that you can show that you can do, like, so you can prove your skills. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about that. Did things come together for you whenever you decided to take the knowledge and build your own project? Did things start to click? Maybe tell me about that.
Right. So if anyone looks me up, they're going to find that I own the Instagram account, Mr. Crypto Priest. That was, I will say, my first step in portfolioizing, because not only I am learning, but I am projecting what I have learned. And when you start teaching people, that furthermore solidifies your knowledge of the aspect of what you're doing. And for Streamline, I'm just going to say it's not a failure, but it just hasn't taken off the ground as I have liked. But from me building it and showing people, I was able to monetize it a lot more just by building something that people would need, but for a different purpose. So
it was not necessarily a failure. It did not accomplish the purpose you intended, but it's not a failure because you do actually get a benefit from it, but it's just not the one you wanted initially.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
that makes perfect sense.
And one last thing I'm going to say is, especially as a developer, you don't want to build a lot of things from scratch. You want to continue on building from things that you have built. So everything that I have built from Streamline, I get paid just by taking the code that I already built, and it makes the deployment of these other apps a lot faster.
Right. And people ask me that a lot of times. I've made some videos about, charging top of market rates as a freelancer and all that kind of stuff. And that's one way that I'm able to do it, is basically using proprietary systems that I've built over time and iterated upon, because I get asked to do the same types of things over and over again. So, and I don't charge really on hourly basis, typically. And, that's how I'm able to land those high ticket projects, is I've solved problems almost exactly like this before. And, you know, I'm going to use that. I'm going to leverage that because I can deliver the value to you. It's like what we talked about earlier. You know, this person just says, hey, it costs this much. And, you know, it may not take me very long to deliver that. But they're glad to pay that amount because they see a return that they can get over time based on what that service costs for them. So it sounds like that's kind of a similar situation that you're inside of.
And one of the best advice that I ever gotten was from a friend of mine who I was actually working on Streamline at first. He left the project to pursue other ventures, but one of the greatest things advice he gave me as a developer, he said, this crypto blockchain space is new. If you don't know what to build, just take something that's already existing and decentralize it or build a decentralized version of it and just run with it. I'm like, okay. So I saw Amazon. I'm like, okay, Amazon doesn't have cryptocurrency processing. I'm going to build a platform where you can buy things for crypto and get tested out. That's what I did. It didn't hit the goal that I intended, but there's so many other people that needs this exact same thing I built. I'm like, okay, sell, because so many people are like, oh, I want to build a startup and get bought by this big company, become Elon Musk number 25 or something like that. But I'm over here like, oh, okay, I got this thing. This guy needs it. Okay, here, you can have it. Oh, you need this too? Okay, you can have it. So I don't want to be like Elon getting bought out by a company. I want to be like Santa Claus and just start giving out pieces of code that I already built into building up their own projects.
Right. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Well, awesome, Ty. Well, thanks so much for sharing, you know, your story. Hopefully this is really helpful to people out there who are trying to accomplish the same kinds of goals. Again, everybody, be careful. Don't make the same mistake that Ty made and that I have also made by, you know, sharing your private keys or your mnemonic seed phrase to your wallet. And one big thing, that best practice that I follow myself is I don't use my MetaMask wallet to generate new Ethereum accounts. I generate them a different way. So basically, if anybody ever stole my seed phrase, they wouldn't have the keys to the kingdom, so to speak. So if you generate a new MetaMask Ethereum account, like it knows how to generate new accounts from your seed phrase. So if somebody ever loses your seed phrase or somebody ever takes your seed phrase, then they potentially have all your accounts.
That and never keep a digital copy of your personal wallet. If you're going to use MetaMask, have one for development and have one for your own personal fund.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. All right, everybody. Again, this is a great video. Thanks again for coming on, Ty. You know, if you want to learn more about how to do this stuff step by step, you can link down below. It's over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You know, you don't need a coding background or really know anything about blockchain to get started today. So, as always, subscribe to the channel. Smash the like button down below. It really helps this video get found for the YouTube algorithm. And yeah, thanks again, Ty. And I'll talk to everybody soon. Bye-bye.
Take care.